I became the new manager of Liverpool. I prepared my new team for the Premier League start against Bournemouth. We comfortably won this game 5-1, with Curtis Jones scoring an absolute beauty from distance. I thanked the players for their efforts, and the very next thing I did was to become the new manager of Brighton. But why? It's the 15th of August 2025. Starting from today, I have exactly 1 year to fulfill my goal of managing 100 different clubs. But I can only move around them after I win a single match. This means I can manage multiple teams in a single day, but if I slip up, I may be stuck in a random place for weeks. I'm also adding a side quest to manage in at least 12 different countries, so we get to travel throughout the entire Europe and maybe even the world. How many clubs can I manage in one season? Let me know your prediction in the comments down below, and let's find out. To make the entire process faster, I'm going to use one of the recommended tactics and formations, select the squad with a quick pick button and get the instant result of the match. Also, yes, I'm using the endgame editor to move between the clubs, otherwise this challenge would be literally impossible. This is the Brighton squad that took on Fulham, and did it lead us to victory? Oh no. We have to stay in Brighton for 1 more week now. No way. What a start, genuinely, what a start. I'm basically starting with a Premier League tax. But times the charm, I guess. Yes, we finally won, we can finally move clubs. Maybe we'll get to another EFL Cup game today? With this win, I wanna move to a club in the Championship. To be exact, Sheffield United, who take on League 2 Salford just a day after Brighton's game against Bristol. We won that game 1-0, and it's pretty fortunate. The very next day, we had the final qualifying rounds in the Europa and Conference League. I quickly analyzed all of the ties, and my choice was to go abroad for the first time. Technically. We took charge of the new Saints in Wales, who are taking on Differdange from Luxembourg. The problem is, we lost to Differdange from Luxembourg, so I had to stay to take on Connacht's Quay. We comfortably won 3-0, so of course, it was time to move. Next stop, England again. And to be exact, Boston United, who take on rock-bottom Hartlepool United in the National League the very next day. But in pure Football Manager fashion, we had to lose 3-0. And to make things even worse, no way. Now I have to wait a whole week to play, I believe that is Southend. Maybe 3rd time's the charm? Yes, we actually did, and we came back from a 1-0 deficit, so let's find a new club for us. We'll leave the UK for the first time in this challenge, and I think I found the perfect country, and that country is Norway. Turns out, just an hour after our Boston United win, Tromsø is playing away at Rosenborg, and I'm going to take charge of Tromsø. Do we make it to the match? I think we did. I don't know what happened here, but for some reason, we technically joined during the match, and we lost to Rosenborg. But at least we played a match. So now I have to skip to the next game. Well, that's a win against the 50-year side in the cup. I have decided not to risk another glitch with the Champions League fixtures in just 15 minutes. The Norwegian leagues had their league matches on a Sunday, so I looked for a Friday fixture elsewhere. I found one in Denmark, and now I'm managing Aalborg BK. We won our game against B93 in the Danish 2nd division, and now I could look elsewhere. The next destination on our journey is Denmark, Aarhus GF to be exact. They have a match against Brøndby, who just lost 3 games in a row, and now we made it 4. This allowed me to explore the country number 5. That is Greece, where AEK Athens take on Kifisia, just 2 hours after Aarhus' win over Brøndby. It was a comfortable win, and we'll leave Athens as the leaders of the Greek league. And within just 24 hours, we're going back north to manage our 10th club in this journey. Welcome to Sweden, where an insane title fight is going on. In it, we're going to help 2nd Elfsborg, who take on 14th Värnamo. Värnamo lost all of the 5 previous games, and we made it 6. And so, our next stop is Slovan Bratislava in Slovakia. Already a 7th country, by the way. Our stay in Bratislava will be very short though, with a 3-1 victory over Komarno. And now the Europa League fixtures are coming up, because I've got an opportunity to do something really funny. We're managing Slovan Bratislava, and their very next match on a Wednesday night in Europa League is against PAOK Saloniki. So what I'm going to do here is join PAOK Saloniki. You heard it right. Well, I expected a little bit more of a challenge, but I guess it's a win. We won a match in one of the Wednesday Europa League fixtures. This opened up the window to manage one of the clubs who play on Thursday. One of those clubs is Bologna, and we took charge of them and played Ludogorets Razgrad from Bulgaria. Now that is a problem. We do not have a Serie A fixture, and our next game is only against Genk in the next week. Well, at least we won that one. And with an international break coming up, basically we're back to the UK. Ross County are leading the Scottish Championship, and we play Raith Rovers the very next day after our Europa League win. Now that is a rage bait. That is clearly a rage bait. What do you mean 94th minute equalizer? At least we won against St. Johnstone and earned our ticket to hit in Norwegian 2nd Division, who are taking on rock bottom Mjøndalen. We won 1-0, and turns out we're on a back and forth trip between Norway and the UK. We're now in charge of Spennymoor Town. The third force of the National League North takes on relegation-threatened Alfreton Town on a Tuesday night. Spennymoor won, and we went back to Norway to manage Bodo Glimt. Vålerenga on 4th were our opposition, and we were only able to find a 90th minute equalizer. And we threw ourselves into a run of challenging games. On Saturday, we're taking on title rivals Viking. If we don't win against them, we've got Kristiansund in 3rd, and in between, Arsenal in the Champions League. Thankfully, we can now move away from Bodo, thanks to a narrow win over the title rivals. As soon as the final whistle blew, I took a job at Kristiansund. They're playing 13th from Oslo the very next day. Sander Kielen, who played for us in the Vaduz Challenge, first episode of the series is in the top right, scored the brace to give us a 4-1 win. Thanks to that victory, I was able to take charge of Napoli, who are taking on Olympiacos in the Champions League. Of course we lost, and missed out on the entire week of European action. At least Rasmus Højlund scored against Lecce to get us out of Naples. We went on a plane to Glasgow, Celtic Glasgow, who have an early Sunday kickoff against Hearts. What I haven't realized though is that Celtic lost a few games before that one, and we just brought one more L to the table. But thankfully, we also brought a Wednesday win over Falkirk. Luckily, I found some Thursday fixtures in the 2nd Division of Portugal. It's time for a trip to the 10th country of this challenge, and Portimão is our next stop. Unfortunately, we're going to stay there for a little bit longer, because we bottled a win over Torrente. Thankfully, we avoided a bottle against Oliveirense, and left Portimão as the league leaders. And I have the mission to take that lead the very next day, with Farense, who take on Feirense on 17th. A 1-0 win was enough, as we helped Farense take the lead and let ourselves head back to the Champions League. We're not going far though, our next stop is Benfica, with whom we achieved a win over Crvena Zvezda. The very next day, we were at With them, we won 4-1 over Eindhoven. And by Thursday, I was in Germany for the very first time. There, I took charge of Stuttgart, and only drew Ferencváros from Hungary. It made our situation difficult. We have to win over Augsburg on Sunday, otherwise we'll be stuck in the club for another 2 weeks, and we don't really want that. No way, we're actually going to stay in Stuttgart, and we've got Dortmund next. No way, another loss. Hopefully we at least get a win over Malmö, because they don't play for another week. And we do win! Just 1-0, but it's enough. I'm so relieved now that I can leave Stuttgart. For a new country, the 12th in this challenge, which means we completed our side quest of managing in 12 different countries. I spotted an early Friday fixture in Croatia, in which I took the side of Osijek, and turns out I made the right choice. So let's move to the other side of the border with Hungary. Our next stop is Újpest, who are leading the league, and have a Friday fixture against Nyíregyháza Spartacus. By the way, what is Ferencváros doing at the lower half of the table? Doesn't really matter, we won 3-0 and could move on. But it's still 8 PM, so it raises a question. Can we manage 3 clubs in a single day? I'm asking this question because I saw that just an hour after the Újpest match ended, there was a Ligue 1 fixture between Angers and Lyon. So I rushed to sign a contract with the away side, and we didn't make it to the match technically, as in physically, we couldn't really set up the tactic, but we did win over Angers, and it did force me to go to the press conference, so technically we won. I made a backup save to see if I would get the win according to the managerial stats. I did not, which means we didn't make it, and I decided it's just right to stick by its decision and stay in Lyon until we properly win. We only got a draw. And there's a problem. We have to win over Nice. Basically, we have to win against Nice. Otherwise, we're wasting a massive chunk of time. We win 1-0 over Nice. This is actually brilliant. This is actually brilliant. It took way too long. But finally, we can go. Derby County were there to let me free with their Monday match against rock bottom Sheffield Wednesday. But they also decided they want me to stick around. They want me to stick around so much, they conceded against Portsmouth in the 90th minute. We're wasting our valuable time again. I hope we'll at least get a win over Birmingham on Boxing Day, which we did. But now, the only place we can go to without breaking the game is Wrexham or Sheffield United. There was also a game in Scotland, but no, I'm not going to Livingston when they're playing Celtic, and no, I'm not going to Celtic because we were there already. I wanted to go to Sheffield, who are on a winning streak unlike Wrexham. I actually was picking them at this point, but thankfully, I found out that I cannot join them. You guessed that we already were there before, so I have to risk it with Wrexham. It wasn't the best of risks, and we may as well be stuck in Wrexham, with Crystal Palace in the cup next, and then Derby County. We lost to the Premier League squad, but I had some hope in the Derby fixture. We had a perfect period, and it's called the December and January in England, and we're wasting it in Wrexham. I just hope that our form will not deteriorate and we'll be able to go to a new club very quickly. What is going on? Like, genuinely, we're basically stuck in Wrexham. This is already way too long. At this point, I doubt we'll be even able to get close to the 100 clubs. By the way, if we somehow manage to get sacked, this challenge is automatically over, and with us joining the relegation fight, we basically have to win a match now. We're about to waste an entire week that we could have had for Europa League or the Champions League. Our morale is in the mud. Well, at least it's a draw. I just cannot believe what's going on. Let's hope for a win and let's find a late Saturday fixture because it cannot last any longer. Please. Just please. No! This challenge is over. Millwall at home. And you know what? We're actually playing this because I do not want to see any more losses. I don't want to be stuck here. Ivanovic gets the ball up front. It's not looking good. Denore. It's got the pass to... No way. I'm simulating. We're 4-0. What is this? I simply accept my fate. We lost the challenge. We're not even doing 50 clubs. At least we achieved a draw against promotion candidates Ipswich. But that makes us winless for 11 games. We're desperate for a win now. And I know by this point, only a miracle will help us get out of Wrexham, let alone complete the challenge. Yes, it took too long, it took way too long. We're out of Wrexham, let's get out of here as soon as possible. We actually did it, we're out of Wrexham. Thank you for wasting our time, Wrexham. We'll now escape England with a first flight available, which takes us back to Lisbon, where we'll manage Sporting in the Champions League knockouts. And trust me, I do not want to mess with the tiki-taka again. Putting him in my usual tactic will do wonders for my sanity. But what it won't do wonders for is our result against Atletico. We lost 3-0, at least we grabbed the league win over Rio Ave. But you can clearly tell the Wrexham disaster was a disaster for our chances in this challenge. We're already in March, which means we're way past the halfway point of this year. And with our move to Porto for a late fixture against Arouca, we're not even a third of the clubs in. My first order of business in Porto was to move a 17-year-old Polish wonderkid Oskar Pietuszewski to the first team. Why? There's a video on the top right that explains it. But my question is, what was he doing in the B team? For real? Without Oskar, Porto still managed to win over the surprise package in Arouca. This gave us a ticket all the way to Bulgaria, where we'll manage Botev Plovdiv in the Monday match against Spartak Varna. Our stay in Botev will only last a day. We achieved a 1-0 win over Spartak Varna. We're in Atalanta now, by the way. And now we're not. We won over 19 Udinese and could go back to England. That's because of a midweek Premier League matchday, for which I picked Manchester City and led them to a 7-2 demolition of Nottingham Forest. It made me instantly look for a Thursday match, and I found out Napoli are playing Sassuolo. The problem is, we already managed Napoli. So the only choice is another trip to Bulgaria to manage yet another team we made a whole rebuild at. Arda Karzali, whose opponents are rock bottom Septemvri Sofia. Septemvri will stay at rock bottom thanks to goals from Andrzej Siniasiki and Svetoslav Kovacev. I thanked Svetoslav for his efforts, and the very next morning I was in Barcelona. Also, this is our first visit to Spain and our first win in Spain. 4-0 over Elche, who are last. We quickly moved to Fortuna Düsseldorf, second in the second Bundesliga, who are playing against 16th FC Nuremberg early Saturday. Nuremberg, however, decided to fight and came back from a 2-1 deficit. This match ended our insane streak. After winning against Rio Ave with Sporting, we visited 7 different clubs in 7 days. Thankfully, we didn't stay in Düsseldorf for too long. We won over Eintracht Braunschweig just a week later. Can we start another insane run of wins? We quickly moved to a new country to find out, Serbia, to take charge of TSC Bačka Topola. With them, we won over Radnički 1923 in last place, and thanks to that win, we instantly moved to Hajduk Split in Croatia, where Ante Rebic scored a late winner against 9th Lokomotiva. Paris Saint-Germain were next, on the same day. The Sunday 8 PM match against Snow ended with a 6-0 demolition. This allowed us to swiftly move to Roma. Rock bottom Pisa was easily dealt with, and we instantly moved to Wigan Athletic. On a Tuesday evening, we led them to a 3-1 loss against 22nd Barnsley. We're 4th, by the way. at least we won over 20th Exeter. And that's brilliant, because if we did not, we would wait until April for the next match. This exact situation led me to rejecting Brentford, despite the fact they're going to play rock bottom Leeds United just a few hours after the Wigan win. But thankfully, there was a place called Belgium, where 2nd Ghent took on 14th Denver. That was enough of an advantage to win 2-1 and find a club elsewhere. Despite an international break rapidly approaching, I took a little bit of a risk. That risk is taking charge of PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands, who have an early kickoff against rock bottom Telstar. I cannot believe this. With PSV Eindhoven, we lost to rock bottom Telstar. What just happened here? We have to stay in Eindhoven for a good while now. At least the very next game against Utrecht was a comfortable win. It enabled me to make a move to SC Braga, who I joined for a late Sunday fixture against 17th Santa Clara. A fixture we won 3-1. Next up, Hearts in Scotland, with whom we won over dead last Livingston. This win earned me a 2nd job in Belgium. Now I'm the manager of Standard Liège. And now I'm a winner with Standard Liège. And no, that's not Thierry Henry scoring a brace. That's Thomas Henry. Thomas Henry's performance gave me a chance to move to Fiorentina. And Sergio Ramos plays for them for some reason. We're the 3rd force of the Serie A, playing a team that fights against relegation. So of course it was a draw. And despite Sergio Ramos being literally in the first team, we lost against Lecce. Thankfully, the 3rd time was the charm, and we achieved a 3-0 win over Parma. This win allows us to finally move, and thankfully, there was a perfect matchup in the Serie B. Venezia on 1st, took on Bari on 20th, and with us, they won. Just kidding, the only thing we won was a clean sheet. We then won promotion to the Serie A by drawing again, and then we won the Serie B by drawing against Spezia. No wait, we're about to have the last game of the Serie B season. We have to win it. We're simply wasting time in Italy, and we have to win against Palermo. Otherwise, we'll be stuck in Venezia for at least 2 more months and officially fail the whole challenge. Palumbo delivers a corner, and Jelpochiampalu with a rebound scores. Damiano is on the left. This highlight is way too long. Something has to happen here, and it happens! Leon Lauberbach with an equalizer. And Piotr... No way. 2nd goal? Are you being serious? Johnson. It's going to be free. I've taken charge of literal leaders of the Serie B and those who later won the whole Serie B. And now what? They cannot play football. At least Leon is there to score a brace. The fact we won the Serie B doesn't really matter in this match. Lauberbach! That's the 3rd. Damiano has the possession. And now we can send it again to John. Do something. Good dribble. He's in the penalty area. And the ball goes back to Dumbia. We somehow win 4-3 in the final minutes. It's all we have to do to go from Venezia. In the final match day of the Serie B season, we saved the 100 clubs in the season challenge. What we've seen is just pure Football Manager heritage. We somehow saved this challenge after being 3-1 down in the 88th minute. Absolute cinema. And I think it's the right time to find out what happened to the managerial jobs in different clubs. Because I'm sure I caused some chaos with the amount of jobs I had. So Luis Enrique has just won the Premier League with Liverpool. There is Xavi in Leeds. There is Allegri is in Tottenham. Glasner in Chelsea. What is going on here? Mota is in Brighton as well. Mancini is in David Moyes is in Milan. That is crazy. Even though we haven't managed Milan. David Moyes is in Milan. Jose Mourinho is in Bilbao. By the way, in the entire Spanish football, we only managed Barcelona, and it was enough for Jose Mourinho to decide, you know what? I'm going to Bilbao. Now it's time for the Bundesliga, and I don't see any changes, really. I don't see anything, like, crazy. And now we've also got Ligue 1. Guardiola is in Paris Saint-Germain. So we kicked out Pep Guardiola from Manchester City, and now he's in Paris Saint-Germain. How did I not make it click in my brain? And he's already won the league with them. Rose is in Porto, De Zerbi is in Benfica, Arasate, who I don't know, is in Sporting. Well, that wasn't too crazy. Except for Mourinho going to Bilbao. So it's best that we go back to the action. I spotted that Inter Milan have plenty of games left, all against midfield teams at best. So I decided to take charge of them with a need to win once out of 4 games. Thankfully, we won it the first time of asking. And could move into one more club in Europe, Arsenal. Their fixture list gives us a huge chance of winning a match. Or the FA Cup if we don't win over Newcastle, which is exactly what happened. So you guessed it, we're having an FA Cup final against Liverpool. Gyökeres gets the ball on the 1v1 against the keeper, and that gives us the lead. But it could be as well offside. No goal. Moscara cannot stop him. He doesn't stop him for the second time. Isak gets the 1v1 against the keeper. Makes a cross from a free kick. It's impaired out by Alisson, but Martinelli has a chance! And he hits the crossbar, but Gyökeres is there to score a rebound. And it's off for the second time. Alexander Isak has the chance. Makes a cut inside to Ekitike, who gets past 17 of our defenders. Disallowed! McAllister with a pass to Mohamed Salah. Is this the second offside goal? No, it's corner. Makes a pass to Mosquera. Martinelli still looking for that opportunity. Madueke on the right side has a chance to give us the lead in the 180th minute, and Christian Mosquera does so. We're in the lead of the FA Cup final against Liverpool with just 2 minutes to go. In the challenge where we have to manage 100 clubs in a single season, we won a trophy. Let's lift the trophy as we win the FA Cup with Arsenal. Of course, it doesn't really count as a real trophy because you only managed them for 2 games, but I guess we won, and it allows us to move to anywhere else we want, basically. And now I'm not going to risk it with another European club. We're going, I don't know, South America, North America, we'll find out. And just like I said, I did. I'm not taking any more risks with Europe. And I finally decided to go to Brazil! To be exact, Sao Paulo in third. Why? It's very simple. Brazil offers an insane amount of fixtures, and this may massively bump up the number of clubs we manage in this challenge. And what's even better, they're doing this during the World Cup period, when most leagues are having a break. We start with an 11 AM match against 16th Coritiba. In this match, Jonathan Caleri saved our win with a hat-trick. So I looked for the very next club, and it's Santos, who have a game this afternoon against Vitória. By the way, I would happily go to Argentina if it wasn't for the fact they have a literal World Cup break. Unfortunately, we lost to Vitória. But thankfully, just a few days later, Neymar's penalty helped us win over Barcelona. SC Barcelona from Ecuador. This win made me look down the league. I took charge of Mirassol, who are 4th in Brazil's Serie B. Renato Marques scored a late winner against Botafogo's B team and allowed us to move to Flamengo, a team eager to help us beat Coritiba again, which is exactly what they did. Right after, I moved to Botafogo, who we led to a win over Atlético Mineiro. Thanks to that win, we quickly moved to 2nd Palmeiras, whose Monday opponents were Internacional, who are dead last. But they still got what it takes to steal a win from us, scoring a late equalizer. However, just 2 days later, Vitor Roque led us to a 4-1 win over Santos in the Brazilian Cup, allowing us a move to Remo in the 2nd division. I could go to a Thursday match. I just didn't want to risk being stuck with Internacional for weeks, like in Wrexham for example. Especially with the fact we already managed all of the 3 favorites of the day. Thankfully, we won over 2-0 over Villanova. So where are we going now? The only league other than Brazil that plays throughout June is Major League Soccer. I looked at it and thought, let's stay in Brazil for a little bit longer. So I moved to mid-table Guarani, who have an early Saturday match against Atlético Goianense.
That's for all the kids out there who dream the impossible.
It took us 1 more week to win with Guarani, with a 4-0 demolition against América Mineiro. I stayed in Brazil, just that I moved to Fluminense, and with them, we won over Internacional. Our 62nd stop in this challenge is Náutico in the 2nd tier. Junior Todinho's brace against Botafogo SP was not enough, unfortunately. And to make things worse, the Náutico players wanted me to stay for a bit as we lost to Juventude. Junior Todinho, however, said no to that idea and scored the winner against Botafogo's B team. Thanks to him, we returned to the Campeonato Serie A to manage Cruzeiro and bottled a win over Vitória. At least we didn't bottle it against Fortaleza, and I instantly targeted a job at Bahia, which obviously I got. I'm using the editor. At Bahia, we won 1-0 over Chapecoense. I was slowly running out of clubs to manage in Brazil, but thankfully there was still Juventude, who are 2nd in the Serie B. They're playing bottom Villanova on a Tuesday night, and they're also winning against bottom Villanova on a Tuesday night. Red Bull Bragantino was next, and Renato Kaiser had the game of his life for our opponents. Just 4 days later though, we got a massive win over Fortaleza, and so we're in Criciúma in the Serie B. And we're only saving a draw in the 92nd minute there. Just like in Bragantino, we won in the 2nd match and could move on to the next club, Atlético Mineiro, who we led to a 3-0 win over Coritiba. We're approaching the final month of this challenge. We only have time to manage as many clubs as possible until the 15th of August. So it's best for us that we return to Europe, where not only the domestic leagues are about to start, the Champions League is also about to begin. I could go to one of the clubs from the Brazilian 2nd division, but now I know our biggest chance to win games is in Europe. So our club number 69 in this challenge is Ludogorets Razgrad from Bulgaria, who take on Dynamo Minsk in the Champions League first qualifying round. Former Žilina striker Elik Bilej scored a lone goal, which let us go to the Europa League qualifiers. There, we took over Gior Itio FC from Hungary, who led to a narrow win over Vikingur Reykjavik. With it, we returned to Norway after quite a long time to manage Vålerenga. If Smoen is watching this video, he's going to be really unhappy. That's because his club, Lyn, lost against us. At least it helped us to quickly move to SK Brun and lead them to a win over Lillestrøm. With this win, we went back to European competitions. Unfortunately, there was no game available on a Tuesday, so I had to turn my attention to the Wednesday fixtures. And the game that caught my eye was Celje away at Skandia. But I clearly must have been distracted. We progressed to the second qualifying round by drawing at Skandia. At least we compensated it with an opening league win against Triglav Kran, which let me go on a plane to Denmark, where an early Sunday FC Midtjylland kickoff awaited me. And they lost to Aarhus, I forgot to add. On Thursday, we dealt with Bildis from Albania, which allowed us to move into the club number 75. We're 3/4 of the way in this challenge, and although only a literal miracle will let us complete the whole thing, we can still look forward to getting a massive result. Right after winning with Midtjylland, we traveled to Poland for the first time to take charge of Górnik Zabrze. Patrick Hellebrand scored a lone goal against Piast Gliwice, which led us to a massive win, and they moved to in-game Polish champions Jagiellonia Białystok. We only achieved a draw against Zagłębie Lubin away, but at least we won over Žalgiris Vilnius in the Champions League qualifiers. Dynamo Zagreb were playing HJK Helsinki the very next day, so we took over them and led them to a 3-1 win. Right after, we returned to Denmark to manage FC Nordsjælland, who needed some help in the Conference League tie against Galway United. And we helped them win, even though we really made it stressful in the end. So, it's time for Czechia for the first time. Sparta Prague take on Jablonec in an early Friday match. We managed Sparta in this match, and we also managed to bottle the win twice in this one match. And then we bottled a win against Benfica in the Champions League qualifiers. And you wouldn't believe it, we also bottled a win against Karvina. But then, we somehow bottled Benfica's aggregate win over us, and in the final week of this challenge, we could finally move. The 80th club in this challenge is Dinamo Bucuresti from Romania, who we led to a 1-0 win over Karabakh from Azerbaijan. So we made a move to Olympia for a Conference League match against Rangers FC. Rangers FC from Andorra, what did you think? By the way, we thrashed them 8-0 and instantly went to Čukarički Stankom in Serbia. They had a Friday fixture against Radnik Surdulica, in which we unfortunately did not score enough goals to complete a comeback. With no more matches to play before our 1-year deadline, it means the challenge of managing 100 clubs in a single season reached its end. We managed 82 different clubs in 24 countries during this adventure, so we failed. But still, it's a massive amount of teams. Is this challenge possible to complete? I think, yeah, a little bit more luck and it genuinely can be done. We won 81 of 134 games, which gave us a 60% win percentage. Sometimes all it took to win was just a few hours, sometimes a good few weeks, and an 88th minute winner after being 3-1 down to save the whole challenge. Just make sure you don't manage Wrexham and you'll be fine. In terms of where we managed, the most common place was Brazil with 16 clubs. This country literally saved us during the World Cup period. When it comes to European countries, we naturally manage the most in England with 11 clubs playing there, but more places deserve a mention. In Italy, we were in charge of 7 clubs, and in both Norway and Portugal, we managed 6 teams. The rest of Europe, apart from Denmark with 4 teams, saw us 3 times at most, with the exact stats being on your screen right now. I genuinely had so much fun through this experiment, and I recommend you to try it for yourself and see how you will perform. Oh, and by the way, if you enjoyed this video, you can hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll be very grateful for that. I once also tried winning as many leagues as I could. Legitimately though, without using the editor. It was the ultimate Glory Hunter challenge in Football Manager 2024. You can check out the full movie from this one by clicking on the video that is available on your screen right now.